Public education. It strikes a chord with just about everyone. After all, most of us attended public schools, and many of us have sent children to them. We all want our young people to gain the knowledge they need to lead productive lives. We count on schools to provide the structure by which most of this learning occurs. Yet many people feel disconnected from public education. Only a quarter of American households currently have school-age children. A few more take it upon themselves to volunteer or to serve on school boards. But for most of us, the main way we relate to our schools is by paying taxes to support them. For several decades, citizen involvement in schools has been on the decline. Membership in PTAs, for instance, is less than half of what it was in the 1960s. Our changing society may be part of the reason. More women in the workforce means less time for volunteerism. School consolidations have taken many schools out of their communities and far away from the families they serve. Some suggest, however, that it's more than demographics that's driving a wedge between the public and its schools. Some people say they are losing confidence that the schools are doing what they, as a community, see as important. Others feel that schools are something only parents and educators need to be concerned about. Still others say that they would like to be more involved in their schools, but feel unwelcome there. The purpose of this forum is to examine our own relationships with our schools. What do we think those relationships should be? What can we do as individuals and communities to build those relationships? The West Virginia Center for Civic Life, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, is co-sponsoring this forum with community organizations around the state. In this forum, we want to understand the issues better, to consider different approaches to the issues, weighing the benefits and trade-offs of each, to identify where we have common ground and where we disagree, and finally, to explore what actions we might take individually or as a public. The discussion will focus on three different approaches. Approach 1, let professional educators set the direction for public education. Approach 2, give the community more say in decisions about their schools. Approach 3, let parents choose the schools best suited for their children. Let's take a look at each of these approaches. Approach 1 says that school teachers and administrators should set the direction for public education. We should let them do the jobs they were trained to do, which is to give our children the best possible education. Teachers, like doctors, engineers, and other professionals, are trained and certified in their field. They receive continuing education to stay current on teaching methods and subject matter. And they are held accountable by their school boards for meeting specific instructional goals. We need professional educators to assure that sound educational policy is not compromised by pressure from special interest groups. This approach would mean that everyone would focus on what they do best. Teachers would teach, and parents would raise well-behaved children who come to school ready to learn. Community leaders would support their schools as volunteers and taxpayers. The public role in public schools, according to Approach 1, is to support the professional judgment of teachers and administrators and thereby assure that students receive a sound, effective, and consistent education. Approach 2 says that the community should have more say in decisions about its schools. Public education should be based on what is important to the community and society as a whole. The only way to achieve this is to give the public a real voice in shaping what happens in their schools. From this perspective, citizens are partners, not just helpers in public education. One way to accomplish this is through local school improvement councils, where principals, school personnel, parents, and other community members work together to develop programs and policies to improve their schools. Some states have gone a step farther by allowing communities to establish charter schools. A charter school is a public school created in partnership with the parents and community it serves. Instead of being held to existing education policies and rules, it operates under a charter that lists the results to which it will be held accountable. Approach 2 would encourage the variety and innovation that some parents find attractive about private schools while still keeping public funds within public schools. It would welcome the many perspectives and skills that community members offer. And the more say that people have about their schools, the more likely they will be to support them. The public's role in public education, according to Approach 2, is to share in the responsibility for creating quality schools that are consistent with the community's needs and priorities. Approach 3 says that parents should choose the schools best suited for their children. No one system of education can meet the diverse needs of all students. Therefore, parents should have both the right and responsibility to choose schools that will do the best possible job of teaching their individual sons and daughters. From this perspective, school choice is just as important as the choice we make about where we worship and how we vote. Furthermore, school choice helps improve educational quality by creating competition among schools. Good schools will thrive, while poor schools will be forced to improve or close. School choice can take a variety of forms. Many states allow parents to choose among public schools through open enrollment policies, magnet schools, and other means. Less common is the use of vouchers that allow parents to choose a private school using public funds. Homeschooling is another option exercised by as many as 1.5 million American families. Approach 3 would mean that parents would act as consumers of educational services. It would mean that schools, both public and private, would have to be competitive and responsive to consumer demand. It would give students who attend poor schools the opportunity to choose better schools. The public's role in public education, according to Approach 3, is to support, through their taxes and volunteer efforts, the schools that parents determine are best for their children. Now it's your turn to weigh these different approaches. What are the advantages of each? What are the trade-offs? What are we willing to support as individuals and as a community? What should be the public's role in public education?